Guys, I have news for you. We all survived 2025. It tried its best and hardest to kill us all. And yet, we're still here. That's a miracle on its own, okay? The fact that I'm here talking to you right now is a miracle. If I'm alive and well and connected to the internet enough to upload this video, that's another miracle. Let's just say 2026 is going to be the year we pray for miracles and get ready for the worst. Because, oh, it's getting really, really dark over here. Over there, on your side of the world, I'm sure things are not perfect, but they're not as crazy as they are here. So, oh, I don't know. Be happy that you're not living in the country that I am. Because God blessed you before you were born. And I'm going to add to that the fact that I could read any books in 2025 was a miracle on its own. And I read 85 books. I am so proud of myself. This was a year full of crazy things happening. The year we had a war in Iran. The year we went through sanctions, prices rising, protests in the streets. I had the biggest exam of my life. I had crazy studying hours. My mental state was really, really bad. That was my cat. If you heard him, sorry, I think he has ADHD like I do. I think about that more later. I'm saying all of this to say that this was a really crazy year. If you've been here in my channel, you know that. And if you don't, now you do. And yeah, let's get into the best books I read this year. I usually read books to escape reality when reality is very dark. But there are some points that this darkness gets so big that I can't even escape into books. And honestly, this year was so bad that I was not really capable of getting lost in a book like I usually do, but I still enjoyed some books. I'm going to start with 5 honorable mentions that I have. These are the books that couldn't get to the list, but I still want to mention them. And then we're going to go into the top 10 books that I love this year, and we're going to talk about them. Sorry about my cat again. Okay, let's just rapid fire mention my honorable mentions. We have Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood, the book that many people had a problem with, but I didn't because I could see myself in Maya so much. A Certain Hunger, the book that everybody loved on TikTok for years and years, and I thought it was not going to be for me, but I enjoyed the writing so much. A Whisper of Solace, my favorite sapphic book of the year. I read it in summer and it stuck with me all the way through. It reminded me so much of my past relationship. I could see my ex in the main character of this book, and I loved that. Broken Country, the book I never thought would not make this list. I thought it would be one of my favorite books of the year, but at the end, it ended up in my honorable mentions. The writing was beautiful, the story was beautiful, and the fact that it had some hints to Wuthering Heights only made it better. And last is The Favorites. Here's the thing, I did not think I would love this book, and it was annoying me so much while reading it, but I find myself thinking about this book throughout the year, and that means that this book had an impact. And even though it was not a healthy relationship, it was kind of exploring a toxic one. I'm a sucker for toxic relationships. All the relationships that I've had in my life have been sort of toxic, so I get it, and I love having them in my books. Okay, those are my honorable mentions. Now let's start at number 10. It was really hard for me to make this list. I'm not usually somebody who ranks things. I know that I love this, I love this, I love this, I love this, but I can't really tell you I love this more than this. So it was a very hard thing to do, to put them in an order, And in another day of the week, I might have different opinions, but right now at this point, this is the order that I came up with. Okay, book 10, Once Upon a Demon's Heart by K.M. Morinova. Yes, this one made the list. I thought it would, but I wasn't sure. So, this is the book that made me fall in love with reading again. Reading fantasy, specifically. Fantasy books have led me down so much in the past years, and I was just searching for that perfect right kind of enemies to lovers. They write enemies to lovers recently in a way that I just hate and I can enjoy. And this one was the way that I enjoyed it. This is about a knight, and the only way for her to save her country from a war that she knows they're going to lose. She has seen the ending again and again and again. She goes back to the beginning. Funny, that reminds me of something else that we're going to get to. So she keeps waking up at the in beginning of the week, and she knows that at the end of this week they're going to lose this war, and she's going to die by the hand of this demon, right? And she realizes that the only way that she can change that is if she marries somebody from the demon side, and that's a truth that they can have. And she ends up marrying the same demon who killed her many, many times. And it seems like he doesn't remember that, but she does. And she has to go to that enemy territory with them. It's really fun, it's really great, and they're enemies, enemies, enemies to the last pages. This is the first book in the series, and they don't really become lovers. They do have feelings, but they're not lovers at the end of this book. And I love that. I love enemies to lovers when it's done right and correctly, and this one was that. Book 9, Happy Place by Emily Henry. I read this one this year. We were in the middle of a war. I had the audiobook of this book and I was like, okay, let's give it a shot. It's probably not that deep. And I was healing from a breakup, and this one was talking about two people who had a breakup, Harriet and Win, and they went to this friend vacation that they always went to, and they pretended that they were still together to not ruin that trip. And they had to be in this situation of, oh, we've broken up, but now we are in the same place and we're going to act like couples. What's that going to bring? It's second chance romance, one of my favorite subgenres. I love that trope. It's amazing. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I don't know. I just love it every single time. In every genre, I love it when there's a second chance romance in it. And I love that. Again, I was healing from a breakup. Uh, these two reminded me so much of me and my ex. It was a healing journey, kinda, and I loved it. I know some people don't. I'm not one of those people. I don't know why they don't like it, and I don't know why I love it, but I just know that I did. I'm really glad I read this one. I think right now this is my favorite Emily Henry book ever. I read some of them, not all of them, but from the ones that I read, which are Beach Read, People We Meet on Vacation, Great Big Beautiful Life, that I read this year, but it's not on this list. That one didn't make it, and Happy Place, and this one is my favorite. Just wanted you to know. Book 8, we have very different with the last books. In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. This was a reread for me. I read it years ago, and I was really young when I read it the first time. And I didn't really understand the book. I didn't get the message of it. So this is about an abusive sapphic relationship. And I think we don't really talk about that. The fact that queer people need to fight so much in the whole entire world, which really, really hurts me, has made it into the fact that we can't really criticize queer relationships without hurting them. And I see that there's a very thin balance of being able to critique something that is not normalized enough in our society. So it's like if you're trying to criticize this thing because of the fact that there are homophobic people all around the world, it's like you're dissing this relationship too. And I see the fact that you should be really, really careful to talk about the fact that these relationships, just like straight relationships, can be abusive and toxic and wrong. And just because you're two women, that doesn't mean that you're always healthy, perfect, and caring. A woman can be abusive towards another woman too. Men too, but since this book is about two women, I just said that. And I think it was very important to talk about that again as a queer person myself, as somebody who always until this point has had sapphic relationships. I get that, and I get that sapphic relationships can turn toxic and abusive so fast. I don't know why. It's just so quick. You blink and you're in toxic territory, and if you don't control that, you can get to abusive. And it's very important because sometimes people don't understand that they're in an abusive relationships, especially when the other person has the same gender that they have and the same physical ability that they have. And I really appreciated this book because of the things that she taught me. And also, the writing is amazing. It's like poetry. And you just fall in love with the writing. I listened to the audiobook, and the sound of Carmen is so beautiful, so soothing. I felt like I was listening to a beautiful poetry collection. Her voice is just so beautiful. And at the end of the book, I was so worried for her that I checked her Instagram and was like, please tell me somebody's loving her the way she deserves. And I realized that she's in a very healthy, beautiful relationship with somebody who loves her. I was really happy about that. That's In the Dream House. Book 7, we have a Holly Jackson book, but we don't have the Holly Jackson book of this year. We have the Holly Jackson book of last year, the reappearance of Rachel Price. Okay, let's first talk about the fact that the book of this year is not on this list, not quite that yet. I enjoyed that book too, but I know that that book has a lot of flaws, and that's why it didn't make it on this list. Even though I enjoyed the time I had with it and I would recommend it to people to read it, I just don't think it was favorite book of the year material. The reappearance of Rachel Price, on the other hand, is a perfect book, in my opinion, in its own genre, of course, mystery thriller. We start our story with Belle, and when she was a baby, her mom disappeared. Her name was Rachel. And her dad, who's her hero, is talking with this documentary crew, and they're going to make a documentary about her mom. And in the middle of making that, Rachel reappears in the middle of the street. And Belle is very suspicious of her mom. She thinks that she disappeared on her own, and she's a weird person who is doing weird things. And all the way through this book, you are with Belle, and you're so suspicious of this woman. You're like, what? It was your fault. You did that. What happened? You're lying. You're lying. You're doing something. You're suspicious. And there are a lot of plot twists in this one. I'm not saying that you can't see the plot twists. There are some of them that are so obvious, but there's a big one that really shocked me, and I really loved the way that this story concluded. I think Holly Jackson is really good with conclusions, which is a very hard thing to do in mystery thrillers. I usually find it that many authors have great beginnings, but they really ruin their story at the end. But Holly Jackson is not one of them. She usually ends the stories in a very, very satisfying way that just wraps the story up. I just loved this one. I love the fact that Belle was not a really sunshine character. She was dark, she was sometimes rude, she was sometimes selfish, and she was a real teenager. And I really enjoyed that. Sorry to that one character that was so good and honestly deserved better, and I judged her really harshly. You know who you are. Thank you. Sorry. Now, book six, we have V. Schwab's book, Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. The book we were waiting for a very long time, since the time it was announced, and even before that. This book, as everybody probably knows, is about sapphic vampires. So you have three main characters, and they are all sapphic women, queer women at least, if not sapphic. And we watch all three of them go through this transition from human to vampire in different parts of history. And since vampires don't die, we get to watch them, well, not all of them, but some of them throughout history. And when main things in history are happening, and you're watching this person go through that. Okay. That being said, well, I was kind of expecting more when she said toxic lesbian vampires. My expectations were so much bigger and higher, and this book didn't deliver on that the way I wanted it to. But if you liked The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, you're going to like this book. It's just connected. If you love that one, you're going to love this one. If you didn't love that one, you're probably not going to like this one either. They have the same structure, kinda. So I know that a lot of people think that in that book, you watched Addie live hundreds of years. But it's like she was passing through history, but she was not interacting with it. You got to see mentions of big things in history happening, but you didn't see Addie be a part of that. It was not explored enough, and I think that criticism is really valid, even though I love that book. And in this book too, you get mentions of really crazy things happening in history because these women are going through that, but it's like they're always escaping it. When things are getting really bad, they're gone, and that's fine if the author doesn't want to explore them. But if you like that and you want that from that, you're not going to get it. It's about them and their personal growth and relationships and that demise into darkness, and you're not really in the world. It's like you're in the bubble with them. I liked it. I know that some people might not like that. I just liked it for the writing of V. Schwab, for the fact that they were lesbians and vampires. I wanted more from the ending. I remember not being satisfied with that ending. I wanted something more cinematical, or something more satisfying, something more big, something more powerful, something more poetic or tragic. Just something more. I don't know, it could have been in any direction. I just wanted it to be more. I wanted to have more feelings and more thoughts about the ending. It was kinda underwhelming for me. When I ended it, I was like, did I read all of that book for that ending? Which is the exact same problem that I had with The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue too. The first time I read it, I was like, that's the ending? When I reread it, I was more willing to accept the ending, but I just wanted more from this story. But it still deserved to be on this list because of Ree Schwab's writing, which is beautiful, and her character arcs that are amazing all the time. I love this story. Not enough to put it on number one or two, but enough to make the list, if you know what I mean. Okay, now that we're done with that, let's get into the top five. Book five is going to be The Only One Left by Riley Sager, another book from last year that I didn't read last year. I'm really bad with keeping up with new releases. I'm trying to be better because of this channel, but I usually used to read books 2 years per years after publishing. This book, as many people know, is about a woman who starts working as a nurse, kind of nurse, as an aide for this really old woman in a mansion on the hills. And there's a very big legend about the history of this mansion and that family, that they were very big, powerful, rich family, but something tragic happened. everybody was killed. They thought it was the daughter who killed them, and the person she's going to take care of is that daughter. She doesn't talk. She can't really move, and she's just over there with so few people trying to figure out what happened while trying to help this woman. I love the atmosphere of this book. I love the pacing. I love the plot twists. I just loved it. I was so shocked because I thought I was not going to really love it and it was going to be a mid book, but I was so shocked when I actually really enjoyed this book. I loved it and I put it here. Again, this year's Riley Sager book is not here. It's on the worst books of the year list that I uploaded a few days ago. So let's just say that the last books apparently did better than this year's books. But that one was really amazing. I was so shocked and so excited by the plot that I have a best friend. Some people know that, and her name is Shariah. When I'm so excited by a book, I just send voice notes to her for hours and explain the whole story of a book. And I spent, I don't know, 5, 6 hours explaining the only one left to her. Bless you for listening to me and my rants. If you're watching this video, love you. Book 4, Caliban's War, the second book in the Expanse series. This is the only sci-fi series that I'm in the middle of. I love sci-fi. I just usually don't pick up sci-fi. I don't know why yet. My favorite TV show is The 100, so I just love that sci-fi hints in books. This book is completely sci-fi. It was, I think, in my opinion, more leaning toward the science part of the things, and it's a very heavy book. It's about hundreds of years in the future that human beings are able to now live on Earth, on Mars, and on this thing that's called the belt that's around the sun, and there are tiny mm, planet type things on it that they live on them, and they're just different people all around the world. And these people obviously have differences in beliefs, in physical appearances, and in capabilities. So we start the book with the last book, and things are just changing. There are dangerous things happening that nobody understands why, and let's just say that the whole human race is in danger. And this book is just exploration of that one. We have another problem, we have a new enemy, we have new sets of characters, and this one was my favorite, okay? It was so good that I'm not willing to pick up the next book yet because I don't want to ruin the taste of that book if it's not as good as that one. I loved every character and even side character in this one. I loved the whole storyline of it. And there's this character in this book, Christian Avasarla. She's a politician, and I loved being in her brain. I loved how brilliant she was and how brilliant she spoke, and the strategies that she had were crazy. I think this book taught me about politics in a way that nonfiction books couldn't. It just gave me a very deeper understanding of politics and politicians and the way that they talk to each other. I just loved this book. This was such an amazing experience. Don't be intimidated by the length because it's a lengthy book. It's so good that you don't want it to end. And I just enjoyed it so much. I think it's been a year and now I can pick up the next book. I'm going to do that in 2026. At some time in 2026, I'm going to pick up the next book. Just know that I'm in love with this series, with the writing, with how brilliant it is, and how easy to understand it is. Okay, who can believe I can't believe I'm putting it at number 3. I couldn't believe I was giving it 5 stars when I read it, and now I cannot believe that I'm putting it on my top 10, top 3. I'm putting it at number 3 favorite books of the year. Mate by Ali Hazelwood. This year was the year of Ali Hazelwood for me. I read a lot of her books. A reading vlog reading Bride and Mate when Mate came out. And I was like, okay, I like her books enough. This is going to be fun. Let's just pick these two Omega Verse books. I have some experience with Omega Verse from fan fiction. I fell in love with Mates. Okay, I fell in love with Mates. It's simple Omegaverse. We have vampires, we have werewolves, and humans. And the first book is about the arranged marriage of a vampire with a werewolf, so that they have a peace between them and they don't attack them. This is the second book, and we have the best friend of that vampire, who's a werewolf, Serena, and we have the best friend of that werewolf, Cohen. I think the reason I'm in love with this book is Cohen. He's 100% my type. Everything that he does. His style is my type, his grumpiness is my type, the way he's in bed is my type, everything he says is my type. I think the reason this book is here is Cohen, but honestly, the reason I put it in on this list is because I enjoyed the experience of reading this book so much. I was making a vlog, I was traveling to this mountain, and I was there. I didn't have makeup on, I was wearing things just to keep myself warm, and I was making a vlog, crazy videos, crazy locations, and I was just having fun being obsessed with that book. And I was in a reading slump for a very long time before that, so it was really healing something in me to just be able to be obsessed with this book and character. I think if it wasn't for that vlog and the time I read it, maybe it wouldn't have had this kind of effect on me and it wouldn't make this list. But the experience I had with it was so good. It was one of the best experiences of this year, the whole 2025. I was having fun. I was actually having some kind of joy in my life. And feeling joyful is so rare for me that I just cherish that experience of reading this book. And it's going to be here. I'm just obsessed with it. And I just wanted to put it here. I cannot believe that I'm putting it here, but here we are. Book two. Now, the perspective is going to change so much, and now we're going to go from fun Omegaverse to tragedy after tragedy. These two books made me cry, especially the one we're going to talk about now. And at the end of the day, I'm the person in love with dark, sad books and suffering, which is why the second favorite book of this year for me is going to be Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. I can't imagine somebody not putting this book on their list because, oh my god, I think Suzanne Collins just outdid herself. I think this is the best book in the whole series. This is a prequel to The Hunger Games, and this is Hamish's story. And it's the 50th Hunger Games, so because it's very rare, they're going to rip double the amount of children that they usually do, and they're going to put them in this arena. As we all know, they're going to go through it. Everything we know about Hunger Games. As an Iranian, it's a very hard experience for me to read The Hunger Games. Every single book. Because honestly, even though we don't have the Hunger Games here, the situation in my country is really, really, really same. Okay? It's kind of scary how identical it feels. We have a President Snow. We have capital people. We have peacekeepers. Just go search in Google about what's going on right now in Iran and watch some pictures and tell me that's not the Hunger Games. It's just the same. And just like everybody in these books, we are trying to escape and change things, but we don't have enough power yet. And every time it just ends in tragedy. And this book was really hard for me because, well, first of all, we saw a lot of characters that we got to see in the original trilogy before a lot of tragic things happened to them. So we were watching them and we were like, "Oh, I know where your story is going to end, and it breaks my heart because you don't yet." That was the first part for me. And the second part is they're trying to defeat the Capitol and President Snow, but you have read The Hunger Games and you know that they're not going to be able to succeed in this book, but you're still hoping and wishing, even though you know that they're going to fail at the end of this book at least. And as somebody who's watched protests and trials um, fail many times in this country and watch a lot of people die just so that we can still not reach the destination that we have, it was really heartbreaking for me and really hard for me. It had a very bad impact on my mental health, and at least it was before all the things that are happening right now were happening. So I was able to get myself out of it, kinda. But I think it was the hardest book for me. Even the original trilogy was not as dark and as heartbreaking for me. And watching Hamish go through everything that he did just so that we can have that not very positive image of him at the first book of Hunger Games, because we don't know what happened to him, was really breaking my heart. And I just wanted to save him, and I wanted to send him a message and be like, at the end, you're going to be able to succeed. I know you have lost a lot, but it's going to be fine. And the end part of it, it's like we went through these Hunger Games, and he got out, and then it was trauma after trauma and trauma and trauma and trauma. It was killing me. The end parts of it were so heartbreaking. We lost so many people that I loved. It was such a heartbreaking book. I can't believe Suzanne Collins was able to write this book and write it so accurately, like a like a dictatorship. Okay, as somebody who has not lived in a dictatorship, she lives in America, I think, and the situation in America is so different with a place like Panem, which is the place basically is Iran, I think. And the fact that she was able to just build that story up so well and so realistic is just crazy to me. She's a really great author, in my opinion. Deep breath. I'm okay. I'm okay. I should stop thinking about that and just move to the next book before I gave myself another depressive episode and get to my favorite book of the year. I have the physical copy of this one because I loved it so much that I ordered it. My Perfect, Beautiful, Everlasting. My favorite book of this year is going to be The Everlasting by Alexi Harrow. Oh my god, this was the best book ever. Ever, ever, ever. I don't even know how to summarize it. So let's just say that, okay, what's the best way to summarize this? We start our story with this soldier who's back from war. He has always been a historian, and right now he's in university, and he has always been obsessed with this character from history, a knight who was called Sir Una Everlasting. He's just obsessed with that woman and her story and her heroism. And she's just his role model, and he's trying so hard to be like her and make her proud. And these two people get stuck in a time loop with each other, and they keep changing the history again and again and again and again and again. And each time they see each other, they fall in love again and again and again. And it's just tragedy after tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. It's a sad book. It's a very sad book with poetic beauty. The writing is just poetry. I can't believe that Alex Hero was able to write this book this beautifully. I think every other line is highlighted on my e-reader. I just kept highlighting it and highlighting it and highlighting it, and it was so beautiful. I don't think we have a story more magical, more beautifully written, or more heartbreaking than this one. I just loved every moment of it. It was breaking my heart and it was making me cry, but I was still enjoying the act of reading. It reminded me why I loved books and literature and reading. I think this is really underhyped and more people should read this book. This is romanticy done right and done with care and done with love and done with so much respect to the characters. The character building was amazing. The pacing was so beautiful, and I just love the magical and mastering way that she had to restart that story again, and we have been there before. But said and each time she rewrote the story in a way, the beginning of the story in a way that you felt like, okay, I feel like I'm having deja vu, like this character. Because yes, we've been here before, and some sentences remind me of that sentences that I read before in the last time they did this, but it was still different enough that it gave you that feeling of we've been here, but not really, or have been here. Which one is real? Are there many cycles that we don't remember and he doesn't remember and she it was masterfully written. It was so beautiful. I need everybody to just pick this book up. It was the best read of this year and I'm in love with it. And I just want to reread it in the physical copy that I have and I just got and highlight everything again. This was a perfect book. If you haven't read it, you're so lucky that you're able to experience it for the first time. And please do. Just go on and pick this book up. You won't regret it. This is the perfect book. Nothing is wrong with this book. Nothing. Everything is perfect. The writing, the setup, the setting, the characters, the story, the pacing, the everything is perfect. I just loved this book. Okay? Loved it, loved it. I can spend hours talking about this book and analyzing this book. And maybe I will in another video, not in this one. If you want that, maybe comment down below if you want to hear me just go on and on about this book and analyze different parts of it and how masterfully she did things. Okay, I was able to do that. I'm proud of myself for being able to rank and number my favorite books. That was very hard for me. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for watching. I love you. And you are kind of one of the biggest reasons that I keep going on in my life. You're the best part of it. This channel is the best part of it, and it gives me so much hope. I love talking to you, reading books, to talk to you, and just mentioning books with you, and just that. Comment down below your favorite books of the year. And I don't want to jinx it, but I hope that 2026 is going to be a great year for me, for you, for all of us, and for the whole world entirely. I hope that this is a good year. Thank you so much for watching my video. I love you. Bye bye.